Welcome to the Literary Batman. I'm your host, Victor, and we're going to find Batman Gothic on our shelf today. Here we go. Gotham is a modern city. Blue-hued skyscrapers race past elevated train tracks that run to the ground. Gotham may be new, but for Batman Gothic, true horror lies within the past. Gothic was written by Grant Morrison as his second stab at Batman after Arkham Asylum. Morrison, who enjoyed a successful genre-bending run of the title in the mid-2000s, is even now, in the past, trying his hand at reinventing the Batman mythos. The book begins, as many do, during an interrogation. The who or why takes a quick backseat to the introduction of a new villain in Gotham, Mr. Whisper, who slaughters both before sinking into the shadows. This violence is juxtaposed with a yellow-tinged dream that Bruce is having about leading himself through a Gothic cathedral to his father, whose mouth has been sewn shut. Waking with a scream, he looks frightened and tries to remind himself that it was just a dream. Maybe there would be some comfort in that if he hadn't already had it multiple times. The new villain begins a reign of terror, leaving romance poetry to aging mob bosses before killing them. The mob bosses get together and lure Batman to a rooftop using an inverted bat signal to offer him a deal. They would cease committing crimes while Batman went after this villain trying to kill them. Years ago, a man known as Mr. Whisper ran afoul of the mob. When they found that conventional weapons could not kill him, they tied him to an anchor and let him sink into the sea. He found a way to escape eventually and is now back for revenge. Batman is upset that the mob would use the signal to meet with him and offer him such a terrible deal. He responds, "Clean? You can never be clean. Drugs, prostitution, protection, corruption, assassination. This city is sick. Its people are sick with fear. Now you know what it feels like. You and all your kind have turned Gotham City into a hell. Now rot in it." Batman continues to be plagued with dreams that remind him of a school he was sent to by his parents as a child. The younger students were heavily mistreated by the older ones, and the staff also, leading up to the headmaster, Mr. Winchester, who disciplined a young Bruce personally. As Bruce makes the connection, he meets his old headmaster as he is killing another mob boss. After a tussle, Mr. Whisper steps off the skyscraper balcony and gets back up after falling to the ground below. Further investigation brings Batman to Austria, where he learns of a hedonistic monastery whose only cessation from debauchery came from a flood that destroyed the monastery and killed them. Legend told of one monk who made a deal with the devil to not die for 300 years in exchange for his soul. This is implied to be Mr. Winchester, or Mr. Whisper. Batman comes home and finds that Gotham Cathedral was built around Mr. Whisper's specifications. He heads there to find Mr. Whisper has created a Gothic and spiritual chrysalis, which he plans to use to unleash the Black Death and trap all the souls of Gotham in it. He will then use them to bargain with the devil for his own soul. Batman stops Whisper as he does, and the city is safe. Whisper is carried to the afterlife by the devil himself. This story is interesting for its blending of religion and the Batman mythos. The devil is the big bad here, causing the century-spanning plot to go forth. Batman feels comfortable around priests and nuns in this story. Janson's art style blends Batman perfectly with the cathedrals and spires of Gotham and Austria. His vision of Gotham is Gothic, and his angular figures stand out against the decay of the city. A fun anachronism is how voice recordings were stored on magnetic tape in this story. Viewing dated technology in comics is always a blast. Other outdated tech is the record player that Whisper uses at the beginning, and the series' use of payphones. After reinterpreting the classic Rogues Gallery, Morrison decided to focus on mob bosses and an entirely new villain in this story. His own creation does not disappoint, and this story's religious themes make lasting memories for Batman. Something significant about Bruce's travel arrangements are how he decided to fly abroad as Batman. If Batman had gone abroad, we generally would expect Bruce Wayne to take a trip overseas for some false reason while Batman did investigating. In this case, Batman just decides to go and flies his bat gyro out of Gotham all the way to Austria. He completely eschews the Bruce Wayne persona while he is on the case. This shows his singular focus. This idea is reinforced when he decides to return to the cathedral in Austria in the last pages of the book. He has solved his mystery, and the Batman persona is no longer needed. He has Alfred arrange plane tickets for him to come back home. Thank you for tuning in to the Literary Batman. If you're interested in learning more about Batman on the page, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Remember, I am Batman, you're Batman, we're Batman.